Well, hi everybody, my name is Dr. JD Swanson, for those who don't know me, and welcome to Karate Science 15 Minutes of Thought, number 14. Wow, we've come a long way. Today what I want to do is I want to talk a little bit about the way that your hips and your blocks connect together. So it's kind of a fun sort of story, and we're going to tie that into yesterday's 15 Minutes of Thought, number 13's kind of story, and then one drill that we did way ago. So we'll sort of connect all that together and make sort of an interesting story, and then tying that in to some of our basic kata to show you this is nothing different from what we've learned all along. So with that, let's get started. Hey, us. So from here, just nice and relaxed, just in Shizentai, just warming up. All I want you to do is just make Gerambarai, just from Shizentai. Allow the hips to turn a little bit further. So if you think of just Chokazuki, where you're in the Shoman position, allow your leg to push all the way to Hami as you push through. So just load and expand. Load, center, expand. Load, center, expand. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, then Agyuke, 1, 2, 3, 4, Sotuke, Uchuke, Shituke, good, and so forth. So what I want you to do just to warm up, just go through those blocks 20 times or so each block, press pause and then come back. Good, okay, so your upper body's a little bit warmer now, your shoulders should be a little bit warmer. What I want you to pay attention to now is pretend that you have a piece of string or elastic tied to your elbow, from your elbow to your hip. So it's like here, doing this kind of feeling. So when I'm here in Gerambarai, I'm stretching. That piece of string is normally, or that piece of elastic is normally relaxed here. Stretch it. And then as you make the block, feel the hip, elbow, that piece of elastic, doink. So the string shortens. From here, stretched, to short. So my hip is pulled towards my elbow is pulled towards my hip as it moves. An alternative way to think about it is pulling here, and this helps, the hikate, helps the hip direct backwards. So just pay attention here for Gerambarai. 1, then feel the string, you're holding the tension back, let it go, click, this feeling. You're holding the string back, see how my elbow and hip move together. The string is, or the elastic is now stretched, let it go, doink. For Agyuke, feel the opposite, feel the elbow in this particular, or for Uchuke, let's switch to Uchi. From here, feel the string is stretched, or the elastic is stretched, doink. The string is stretched, doink. The string is stretched. Same thing for Shutuke. The string is stretched, the string is stretched, the string is stretched, and so forth. Think about that movement and feel that nice connection. And something that's really important about this is don't have floaty elbow syndrome. Floaty elbow syndrome is here, and you may have always heard fist and a thumb off your leg, forget them, but the way that I think about this and to generate power from my blocks is about that final position. And one of the few places that I can effectively connect my chest to my back is through having my elbow 1 fist width off my body. So that's this distance here. So be very aware when you make Gerambarai that you're exactly 1 fist width off your body. That also equates out to, a fist and a thumb, funny that. Anything more than that, you can no longer connect your lats. And if you feel your back and feel your chest sort of simultaneously, as you drop down, as I'm out here, not so connected here, I can properly engage here and under my back. So be aware of that with Gerambarai and with Uchuke here, that you're 1 fist width off, and Shutuke, 1 fist width off. Don't have floaty arm syndrome. I know this looks cool in tournaments. You ready? Doesn't that look amazing? Oh, complete crap. Tate Shuto, different technique. Shutuke says 1 elbow off, or 1 fist width off. not floaty elbow syndrome. Be very aware of that. So here, connect. Allow hip. This is the only place where I can flex both my back and my chest in position at the same time. This final position, not out here. So be aware of that here. So what I want you to do is run through those blocks. Feel that elastic as it connects, as it stretches and then becomes short. Allow it to connect in place here, this particular position. What I would like to do, practice those 3 blocks. Gerambarai, uchuke, shituke. And feel that pull to shorten here. Feel that position. Feel the engagement of both your chest and your back. Give that a go, okay? Off you go. Again, nice and high, in Shizentai, nothing spooky. Off you go, press pause. Okay, now you're done with that. Now what I want you to think about is this other kind of block. So the 2 that we missed was sotuke and agyuke. In this particular case, what I want you to think about here is load, make your load, and feel your hip and elbow drag. They move together. Again, the cool thing about agyuke, if I extend this out without shifting my shoulder or anything, it makes kazamazuki. Yes, they're related. So here, feel that nice movement in this particular position. Feel the hip drag the elbow up. So in this particular case, you're stretching the elastic and the hip is literally, or the hip is pushing, or the hip is getting dragged, depending on what your concept is. Feel it come up here. So either my arm is coming up and dragging my hip with it, or there's a stick on my hip and my hip is pushing my elbow up. Either of those, whichever helps with the way that you think about it. So from here, feel this nice push here. Feel the hip drag up. Reset, drag. Reset, drag. This feeling. So again, the hip and the elbow are connected through the block. Same thing for sotuke. From here, feel this expansion out. This time, our elastic is here. It's stretched, and you can be here or here. I learned here from my instructor. This is more common. I just do here because that's how I do it. I can easily switch to here. Feel that pull. Feel the key thing is having this parallel to the ground. From here now, the elastic is stretched. As they come together, this turns and comes down to that same connection point. 1 fist width off my body, right angles for the arm. Here, elastic is stretched, doink, it connects. So now what I'd like you to do is practice agyuke, pushing up, sotuke, connecting in. Give that a go. Press pause here. Very good. Okay, so what you've got now is we've got 2 different kinds of blocks. We have ones that go across our body, right? And the hip moves in the opposite direction to meet it, right? So my hip moves this way, my arm's moving the opposite way. Gerambarai, right? Uchuke, shituke, right? We have that feeling, right? Where the hip is moving one way, the elbow is moving the other. This is called reverse rotation, okay? Reverse rotation. The other type of block that we have in this particular case, or the other kind of movement that we're talking about today, is that the elbow and the hip move in the same direction together. So from here, agyuke comes up and pushes. It moves with. So the hip and the elbow move together. That's agyuke and sotuke. So what we have, that particular kind of movement where they move together is called direct rotation. So we have reverse, we have direct. Both are sort of depending on where the block loads and where it drives. The key thing is make sure 1 fist width off, make sure your elbow is 1 fist width off where it's appropriate. Agyuke, obviously it's different. Make it the same height as Kazamazuki. Right, but for all the other blocks, make sure the elbow is 1 fist width off your body and the forearm is where it's meant to be. So what I'd like you to do is practice the difference between those, paying close attention to how your elbow and your hip drive together, whether it's in opposite direction or a concurrent direction. Give that a go, press pause, just play with it just within your legs at the moment. Very good. Okay, the next part is now let's put it into motion. So we're going to practice that drill that we did some time ago, the stepping forward one. And I want you to pay attention to how this motion feels and how the hip and the body, that these blocks are not arm-centric. They're simply the hips move, click, right, whichever way they're going to go, and the arms go into position. The hip moves and the body goes into position, whichever it needs to do. So get used to going and having that connection with the hip to the elbow, or the hip with the elbow in position, whether it's in a direct motion or reverse motion. So from here, just practicing out, if we make gerambarai, for example, feel this load, then from here, feel the hip push, this opposite, now it's a bigger, more expanded movement. So you're going to push off this leg into stance, and at the same time, allow your hip to snap into the hami position, and allow your elbow to simply, just with our piece of elastic, doink, push, load it, see, hip, elbow, together. Then allow, doink. For agyuke, for the opposite ones, for the direct rotation, allow it to load. Now feel as it steps back, this is going to snap back. Keep strength in the front knee. And as the hip rotates, feel the elbow into position. Here, allow the elbow to fit into position. Sotuke, allow the elbow here. The hip's going to shift. This is going to be dragged down with the elbow into position. Load for all of you traditionalists out there here. Allow that drop into position. So practice it. For gerambarai, load, push. Agyuke, load, push. Sotuke, load, push. Uchuke, load, push. Shutuke, load, push. Feel the difference between direct and reverse rotation within the blocks. Press pause, give that a go. Okay, good. So, with the way that I've given it to you, gerambarai, uchuke, and shutuke could be defined as reverse rotation blocks, opposite. However, an agyuke and sotuke could be defined as direct rotation blocks. And you would think that would be something that you would tick, 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 carve into stone because it is a dogma of karate. Well, let's look at hand shodan. So if we pay attention to, and we're just going to use a set of movements with shutuke for the 4 blocks at the end. So if we're here, I've just stepped down, I've gone my 1 punch, then the 2 punches tied together. And from here now I'm going to make shutuke. One other quick point. Whenever I make the block, if I'm making direct rotation, reverse rotation, notice my hip and my body, my obi will snap away from me. It's coming here and it's making this action. It's going this way. Whereas when I do direct, right, you'll often think of it as it's moving with the elbow. When I'm making gerambarai, it's moving the opposite way to the elbow moving. Just a way to think about it. So I'm coming to the end of hand shodan. If I'm going to make these rotations, technically kokutsudat shutuke should be reverse rotation. So my elbow, my belt should be moving in the opposite way. My hips should be moving in the opposite way to my elbow. So let's try. As I turn that first movement, I turn, load, and then I rotate. Wait a minute, my belt moved with my hip. And my hip and my elbow were moving together. That's not reverse rotation. But I just told myself that we're moving in reverse rotation. And here, let's try it again. We're here, we step up, we rotate, it'll move together. So what that means is, let's test the next one. Let's test the next step. So we step this time, we load, we block out. Let's try it again. Watch my obi. My obi's moving back. My block's moving forward. So my hips are moving in this direction. My elbows, this is reverse rotation. So wait a minute. So hand shodan says, our most basic kata says, that you can have a reverse hip action block, one that's traditionally reverse hip action, as a direct hip action. And that's true. Depending on where I'm going and where I'm coming from, and depending if I'm rotating or simply stepping forward, all of our reverse rotation blocks can suddenly become direct rotation blocks. And so this is an interesting phenomenon in karate, and something really important to pay attention to. So when I'm here, I can now direct rotation, reverse rotation, direct rotation, reverse rotation. Both are appropriate. So what that means is that direct versus reverse rotation depends on the context of the way that you're moving into it. Okay? And this is a really important concept as you're starting to think about kumite and multiple attackers and the way that you move into that. It does not always need to be how you're moving up the line. If you think about your karate and the way that you move up the line, that's straight linear karate. Karate's not about that. It's about, oh, there's somebody over here, oh, there's somebody over here. How do I deal with that? And so understanding the difference between direct and reverse hip rotation is important for practice, and also being able to work both ways that you move your hips. So working in traditional line work is good, but it hammers in just direct and reverse rotation to the blocks as we pointed out before. Practicing kata does some of it, but very, very minimally. It's also important to work with it in other ways that allow you to start to define the difference between direct and reverse rotation. And the easy way to do that is use the drill that we used yesterday. So for a full explanation of that drill, look at yesterday's class, right? It's the 180-90. So get on right punch, 180, 90, 180, 90, 180, 90, 180, 90. Thinking of that drill. And so when you do it with Geramrai, it just makes natural sense. But let's just pay attention to the hip action of that drill. So I make the first reverse rotation, Geramrai makes sense. When I make the second, and I'll just do it from this angle, when I make that second turn, I'm making direct rotation. My belt and my body and my elbow are moving together. When I make my next step, it's direct rotation again. Direct rotation, direct rotation, direct rotation, and so forth. So that ends up being there all the time. Where it becomes tricky is where we have a traditionally direct rotation, we now need to make it into reverse rotation. So let's take sotuke for example. We come down, it starts out direct because we're moving linearly. When I make that 180-degree turn, there's two ways I can do this. One, I turn my hip all the way around, then force it to being direct rotation. And so that can be fine. Then from here all the way up, 1, 2, all the way up, 1, 2, all the way up, 1, 2. And that's a great drill. That gets your hips moving, gets things moving. But there is an alternative. Why should you change your hips and the motion of the hips just because of the direction of the block? At the end, all I want to do is keep it, if I want to keep it the same, is this 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, hami, shomen, this kind of position. We can do that too. If I start from the side, make soko, it's direct. Now I'm going to make it from here into change my direct rotation into a reverse rotation. Load here, then push the hip into hami. We can only do that if we think about that expansion outward that we were talking about yesterday. Expand, then drive it. Expand, then push. 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 So in this case, sotuke becomes reverse rotation. It becomes from here to here. Here, and when you think, oh, that's unusual, JD, we never do that, think about jite. Right? These kinds of movements have similar sorts of characteristics to them. So what I'd like you to do is play with the idea of the 180-90 drill, Practice it with garambarai, practice with agyuke, sotuke, uchuke, shutuke, and so forth. And so here, garambarai, uchuke simple, garambarai, uchi, gera. Doesn't matter, you can mix up the blocks very easily and that's very natural. With agyuke and sotuke, think more of this all the way around, all the way around. Position, load, hami, shomen, load, hami, shomen, load, hami, shomen, and so forth. Practice it with sotuke as well, as I showed you before. So press pause, give that a go, and good luck. It's a hard one. Okay, so that's it for today. I hope you're having a pleasant day. Look forward to talking to you again soon. Have a wonderful week, and let's talk again. Hey. Us.